And here we go.
It's time now for closing statements. Each candidate has 45 seconds. We want to begin with former Congressman DELANEY.
All right, we're going to rank from worst to best the closing statements from all 10 of the debaters. Now, who am I? I'm a social competence coach, so I'm not worried about what they're saying politically. I'm only going to analyze their body language, their vocal tonality, their eye contact, and their subcommunication. So here we go, and these are going to be lined up in the order of worst to best.
Congressman DELANEY.
Closing now?
Closing.
Okay.
45 seconds. We could go on.
Together we are on a mission. We're on a mission to find the America that's been lost. Lost through infighting, lost through inaction. We're so much better than this. We're a country that used to do things. We saved the world. We created the American dream for millions of people like myself, the grandson of immigrants, the son of a union electrician who went on to become a successful business leader and create thousands of jobs. But we did these things with real solutions, not with impossible promises. And those are the roots that we have to get back to. I'm running for president to solve these problems, to build infrastructure, to fix our broken healthcare system, to invest in communities that have been left behind, to improve public education. I just don't want to be your president to be your president.
Your 45
I
seconds
want
is
to
over.
be your president to do the job.
Thank you,
This is
sir.
not about me. This is about getting America working again.
Thank you.
It is just almost impossible to come back from this mishap.
Congressman DELANEY.
Closing now?
Closing.
Okay.
45 seconds. We could go on.
It was the second time it happened, too. They asked him a question, and he asked them to repeat the question. It just shows he's in his head, he's nervous, he's not present, he's not in the moment, and he's not confident. As a somewhat unknown guy, he really needed to come out hot and display some overwhelming confidence, kind of like Castro did, to get people to recognize who he is and to get on his side, and I'm afraid he just didn't do it. All right, number 9.
There's nothing worse than not being heard. Nothing worse than not being seen. And I know that because I've represented for 17 years in Congress a forgotten community. They've tried to divide us, who's white, who's black, who's gay, who's straight, who's a man, who's a woman. And they ran away with all the gold because they divided the working class. It's time for us to come together. I don't know how you feel, but I'm ready to play some offense. I come from the middle of industrial America, but these problems are all over our country. There's a tent city in LA. There's homeless people and people around our country who can't afford a home. It's time for us to get back on track. The teacher in Texas, the nurse in New Hampshire, the waitress in Wisconsin, all of us coming together, playing offense with an agenda that lifts everybody up. I will only promise you one thing. When I walk into that Oval Office every morning, you will not be forgotten. Your voice will be heard. Thank you.
So bad. That is so bad. If DELANEY hadn't messed up so bad at the very beginning of his, Tim Ryan would be in very last place. I literally zoned out 5 seconds in when he's supposed to be hooking people. His presentation is just so flat. He is just so stiff up there. Nobody can relate to that guy. He's got no pizzazz. He doesn't seem like a leader. The only thing he had going was he showed a little emotion, but even then it seemed forced and feigned. So I'm giving him 9th place.
Senator Klobuchar, the floor is yours.
3 things to know about me. First, I listen to people, and that's how I get things done. That is my focus. I have a track record of passing over 100 bills where I'm the lead Democrat, and that is because I listened and I acted. And I think that's important in a president. Everything else just melts away. Secondly, I'm someone that can win and beat Donald Trump. I have won every place, every race, and every time. I have won in the reddest of districts, ones that Donald Trump won by over 20 points. I can win in states like Wisconsin and Iowa and in Michigan. And finally, I am not the establishment party candidate. I've got respect, but I'm not that person. I am the one that doesn't have a political machine, that doesn't come from money. And I don't make all the promises that everyone up here makes, but I can promise you this. I am going to govern with integrity. I'm going to have your back. and I'm going to govern for you.
Thank you.
Amy seems like a very nice, genuine lady. She also seems like someone's mother that just kind of wandered on stage and she knows she's completely outclassed. I feel like she should be asking all the kids in the audience if they want pudding pops. She's nice, but she doesn't have any gusto behind her. Can you imagine people following her lead? She doesn't even believe that she can lead, and you can tell it in her tone of voice. She's kind of out there token to do it. That is my read on her communication. She realizes she's outclassed, she's not confident, she's uncomfortable, and she's going through the paces, and it landed her in 8th place. And I've referred to vocal tonality a lot so far in this video, and I don't have time to get into that in this video, but if you want to watch a different video where I teach how to get a deep, strong, booming voice, I'll put a link up here in the top corner, and I'll also put a link in the description below this video. So let's look at number 7.
Governor Inslee, 45 seconds.
Trinity and I have 3 grandchildren. We love them all. And when I was thinking about whether to run for president, I made a decision. I decided that on my last day on earth, I wanted to look them in the eye and tell them I did everything humanly possible to protect them from the ravages of the climate crisis. And I know to a moral certainty, if we do not have the next president who commits to this as the top priority, it won't get done. And I am the only candidate, frankly, I'm surprised. I am the only candidate who's made this commitment to make it the top priority. If you join me in that recognition of how important this is, we can have a unified national mission. We can save ourselves. We can save our children. We can save our grandchildren. And we can save literally the life on this planet. This is our moment.
I get that this guy's base is behind him because his main issue is climate change, but you got to talk about some other issues. With everything going on, all the hot topic questions that were flying around that night, you got to cover them. You can't just stick on that. And the guy's demeanor, it's a little cartoonish to me. I don't know that show. Is it like American Dad or something? He seems like he'd be a better fit like in a cartoon like that. He's friendly and he's smiling, but it just doesn't instill a lot of confidence in the person watching him. So it wasn't absolutely terrible, and I get that he stuck to his guns and talked about climate change, but it just doesn't drum up a lot of new support. I can't imagine anyone saw that and was like, I've never heard of this guy, and now I love him. All right, coming in at 6th place was de Blasio.
Mayor de Blasio, Mayor, your closing statement.
It matters. It matters in this fight for the heart and soul of our party that we nominate a candidate who has seen the face of poverty and didn't just talk about it, but gave people $15 minimum wage. It matters that we nominate a candidate who saw the destruction wrought by a broken health care system and gave people universal health care. It matters that we choose someone who saw the wasted potential of our children denied pre-K and gave it to every single one of them for free. These things really matter. And these are the things that I've done in New York, and I want to do the same for this whole country. Because putting working people first, it matters. We need to be that party again. Let's work together. With your help, we can put working people first again in America.
Thank you, Mayor de Blasio.
It's so not smooth. This guy struggles to put together coherent sentences, let alone sentences that roll off the tongue and sound confident. It sounds like, how many times have these guys practiced their final statement? Hundreds of times. And even so, he's so jittery and up and down, and his voice is up, and he's there, and he's stuttering, and his tempo is off, and his cadence is poor. Just not a very good showing. I felt like his whole night was surprisingly weak. That's just the way he talks and the way he communicates, and it's a great example. Even if he had the best things to say in the world, after watching that, or I should say in the world, among all the other candidates, after watching the way he talks, how do you feel about him right now? After watching that, how do you just feel about the guy? I'm guessing you don't see him as being the next president.
Our daughter Molly turned 11 this week. I'm on this stage for her, for children across this country, including some her same age who've been separated from their parents and are sleeping on concrete floors under aluminum blankets tonight. If we're going to be there for them, if we're going to confront the challenges that we face, we can't return to the same old approach. We're going to need a new kind of politics, one directed by the urgency of the next generation. Those climate activists who are fighting not just for their future, but for everyone's. Those students marching not just for their lives, but for all of ours. We'll need a movement like the one that we led in Texas. It renewed our democracy by bringing everyone in and writing nobody off. That's how we beat Donald Trump. That's how we bring this great country together again. Join us. This is our moment, and the generations that follow are counting on us to meet it.
Thank you, Congressman.
I think this is one of Beto's best performances of the night. Now, one of the critiques I have of him the whole night, he doesn't smile or laugh even once. And I'm not saying you should be joking and goofy, but you notice how Warren mixes in some smiles to create a little rapport. He's so stiff up there. It reminds me of some kid whose parents just put a ton of pressure on him, and he's up there for a spelling bee, and if he gets anything wrong, he knows his parents are going to come down on him. He's so nervous. It's not relatable. And I get the issues he's talking about are serious, but he needs to lighten up a little bit to draw people in. And while this is going, if you have any comments about any of these, be sure to leave them below. But YouTube's really cracking down on profanity. So if you put profanity in your comment, it's most likely going to get filtered out. So try not to use it.
Gabbard, you have 45 seconds for your closing.
You know, our nation was founded on the principles of service above self. People who fled kings who literally prospered on the backs and the sacrifices of people. Coming here to this country, instead putting in place a government that is of, by, and for the people. But that's not what we have. Instead, we have a government that is of, by, and for the rich and powerful. This must end. As President, our White House will be a beacon of light, providing hope and opportunity, ushering in a new century where every single person will be able to get the health care they need, where we will have clean air to breathe and clean water to drink, where we will have good-paying jobs in a new green economy. Join me in ushering in this new century with peace, prosperity, opportunity, and justice for all.
Congresswoman.
Very impressed with Gabbard's subcommunication in this debate. She came out of nowhere. I didn't know much about her at all. She's very composed, and she does the best of everyone at keeping a calm, consistent tempo, even when she's on the clock, and it makes her seem very composed. Another thing she did is she speaks to the camera part of the time. A lot of these other candidates didn't look at the camera at all, and I think that was a powerful moment when she's kind of looking into the camera, what appears like you're making eye contact with her. That was a very positive thing. The last thing she did that was good was she was right on the 45 seconds. It doesn't look good when you're trying to really come with the crescendo at the end and you got 5 people, sir, your time is up. Sir, your time is up. You need that time of pure silence to really get that gusto. And the way that she timed it perfectly allowed her to do that all the way at the end without anyone trying to talk over her and lessening the impact of that last statement.
Me llamo Julian Castro y estoy postulando por presidente de los Estados Unidos. The very fact that I can say that tonight shows the progress that we have made in this country. Like many of you, I know the promise of America. My grandmother came here when she was 7 years old as an immigrant from Mexico. And just 2 generations later, one of her grandsons is serving in the United States Congress, and the other one is running for president of the United States. If I'm elected president, I will work hard every single day so that you and your family can get good health care, your child can get a good education, and that you can have good job opportunities, whether you live in a big city or a small town. And on January 20th, 2021, we'll say adios to Donald Trump.
Strong performance all around from Castro. He's another guy who kind of came out of nowhere and had some real trending searches coming out of these debates. People were talking about him. And this was a great final. And whether you like or hate Trump, we do know he's polarizing to both parties. And when he mixed in a crack against Trump, that's going to get Democratic supporters behind him. So tactically, that was a good move. He talked about his own story, being an immigrant to draw people in. And he started by speaking Spanish. And I know that Spanish-speaking people are definitely going to relate to that. So I think there was a lot of thought that went into his tactic, and his overall communication is very confident and composed. His facial expressions, his vocal tonality, everything is completely in line, and it shows no emotional jarring from the social pressure from being on stage. A lot of these guys, you can tell they're so nervous. They don't normally speak like that, but when you're nervous and you're under social pressure, you feel differently. Your voice naturally gets a little bit higher. And you know, the voice is important. Like the first time that the debates before there was television, but they were on the radio, the power of the voice was realized. If you want, I've got a free checklist, a vocal power checklist that you can get. I'll put a link right here. You can go to charismamatrix.com/tonality checklist, or I'll put a link below. It's going to go through 5 things that'll get you a nice, confident tone of voice. So if you're ever under social pressure, I doubt you're ever going to be up on a panel with 10 people on national TV debating topics, but maybe you've got a big presentation at work, or maybe you just have an important conversation to have with somebody. You can go in there and really leverage the power of your voice to sound confident. Number 2.
Gracias. 50 years ago this month, my family moved into the town I grew up in because after being denied a house because of the color of their skin, it was activists, mostly white activists, that stood up and fought for them. That's the best of who we are as America. And why, when I got out of law school, I moved into the inner city of Newark to fight as a tenant lawyer for other people's rights. I've taken on bullies and beat them. I've taken on tough fights and we've won. And we win those fights not by showing the worst of who we are, but rising to who's best. Donald Trump wants us to fight him on his turf and his terms. We will beat him. I will beat him by calling this country to a sense of common purpose again. This is a referendum on him and getting rid of him, but it's also a referendum on us, who we are and who we must be to each other. It's time we win this election. And the way I'll govern is by showing the best of who we are, because that's what this country needs and deserves. Thank you.
Sometimes Cory Booker gets so worked up that it seems like his emotions are getting the best of him. And that is not the sign of a leader. A leader is always under control. But in this last little part, he stayed very controlled, was very composed, and used the right mix of emotion and composure and certainty. Watching that, does he look like somebody? Does he feel like somebody who is a leader? Especially compared to everyone else on the stage there. Yes, he does. He presented himself there in a way that instills confidence from his tone of voice, his eye contact. Another thing he's got going is he's tall. We know ever since the debates were televised that the taller candidates do much better than the shorter candidates. That's something that he naturally has going for him as well. Number 1, ding, 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 Elizabeth Warren. Let's see how she took the blue ribbon.
Senator Warren, you have 45 seconds for the final statement of the evening.
Thank you. It's a great honor to be here. Never in a million years did I think I would stand on a stage like this. I was born and raised in Oklahoma. I have 3 older brothers. They all joined the military. I had a dream growing up, and my dream was to be a public school teacher. By the time I graduated from high school, my family didn't have the money for a college application, much less a chance for me to go to college. But I got my chance. It was a $50 a semester commuter college. That was a little slice of government that created some opportunity for a girl, and it opened my life. I am in this fight because I believe that we can make our government, we can make our economy, we can make our country work, not just for those at the top. We can make it work for everyone, and I promise you this, I will fight for you as hard as I fight for my own family.
Why did she win? She used 30 plus of her 45 seconds to tell a relatable story. Why did she do that? She just wanted to tell a story? No, she understands it's emotions that are going to win this thing. You can riddle off, you could align the policies that other people agree with one by one, but if they come across like one of these other guys like Tim Ryan, they're not going to vote for you. You need to make people feel emotion and relate, and that's why she took so much time by telling a perfectly scripted story about her upbringing. She never wanted to be president. She wanted to be a teacher. She's humble. Her family couldn't afford a college application. I can relate to you. See, this and this, I am one of you, as opposed to being like, Booker's always like, oh, I live in the inner city, I'm the only one. Well, that's an interesting thing, and that is something some people can relate to, but you're not drawn to that when he says it in the way that you're drawn to Elizabeth Warren when she says it, because of their approach, just because of the way that they communicate the exact same kind of story. So she wins, she got first place because she was able to draw emotion out of people and establish rapport. People are going to feel closer to her after this than anyone else. And the last thing she does really well, she mixes in the seriousness of Gabbard, but a little lightheartedness and a smile. We want people who are people too. We don't want angry robots making decisions. And I think Gabbard and Beto definitely both aired far too on the side of, I'm going to be serious, people are going to take me seriously. Well, you can be taken serious and still be nice and friendly. You know, a guy like Bill Clinton, do you think people took him serious? Yes, they did, but he was also nice and friendly. So you got to find that middle ground. Now, Castro went after Beto directly when he was talking about integration. It was quite a back and forth, and I actually break that down and comment socially on what they both did. You can click here to watch that video, or if you want to watch that other video where I'm going to teach you how to get a deep, powerful voice, you can click right here, and I'll talk to you there now.